Welcome to NFL Live, where we have breaking news. This all about the deadline to decide whether or not to exercise players' fifth-year options. The Steelers declined the fifth-year option for Najee Harris, their running back. Option would have to be paid $6.8 million for the 2025 season. So Brooke Pryor, our Steelers reporter, joining us now. And Brooke, obviously, he will still play this year with the Steelers, be on that deal. But what more can you tell us about the plans here from Pittsburgh's standpoint?
Laura, my understanding is that this all stems from the change the Steelers made at offensive coordinator in the offseason. Obviously, they parted ways with Matt Canada during the 2023 season and brought in Arthur Smith. And the feeling in the organization is that they want to see not only how Najee Harris functions within Arthur Smith's offense, but how all of the running backs function within this offense before making a longer-term commitment to Najee Harris. It's my understanding that this doesn't rule out that they're not going to do business with Najee Harris going forward following the 2024 season, but they're in a wait-and-see mode. And it's important to note, too, Najee Harris has been really productive in his 3 seasons with the Steelers. He's the first Steeler ever to rush for 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. And his role's really changed over the last 3 years. He had the most touches as a rookie in the NFL in his first year. And last year, though, his role had really been reduced, not because he wasn't effective, but because the Steelers found a tandem that really worked with Harris and Jaylen Warren. And that is kind of what's going into this decision to not pick up that 5th-year option right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. And Brooke, great clarification there, too. Certainly, they just want to see what it looks like this year with him before making the long-term decision. We're so glad you're with us here today on the show. Mina Kimes, Damian Woody, Mike Tannenbaum are here for the hour. Let's talk a little bit more about Najee Harris. And you heard Brooke mention it there. He's run for at least 1,000 yards in every season since he entered the NFL back in 2021. Harris is the 7th player over the last 25 years to run for 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. And he's in some elite company that includes Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson. Mike, let's start with you. Do you agree with this decision by the Steelers?
Laura, 100%. Look, as Brooke mentioned, Najee Harris is a good player, but he's not worth $7 million in fully guaranteed money. They were able to get Jaylen Warren as an undrafted free agent. And just last week, we saw in the draft really good backs. Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks in the 2nd round, Blake Corum, all non-first-round running backs. So you can find quality running backs past the 1st round of the draft. And this is a resource allocation discussion. So to me, Najee Harris could still be with the Steelers next year. I just don't think he's worth $7 million in fully guaranteed money.
Yeah, certainly the Steelers have been in the news, Mina. You've got 2 quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, that we'll see take the field in some way, shape, or form. What do you think about Pittsburgh's plan for reshaping their roster this offseason overall?
I think it's been really smart, Laura. I mean, they've approached fixing this offense, improving the run game, which already was vastly improved last year, the way that I would, which is they focused on allocating resources to the offensive line, both in the draft, double-dipping early rounds, Troy Fautanu, who's a tackle/guard, Zach Frazier, the center. You've heard me praise this draft pick, but this has been a work in progress for a few years now, the approach they've taken to the offensive line, recognizing that that's what's really key to their rushing success. They've also identified something that Brooke talked about, which is that Jaylen Warren is the best back on the roster. And I want to say this. He's not just more explosive than Harris. He's one of the best backs in the NFL. I think he's so complete, so good at forcing missed tackles. He's good in pass protection. He can catch passes. So for Pittsburgh, I think this year they're going to run it back with Warren and Harris. But next year, I suspect they'll hold on to Jaylen Warren, and they'll probably do what Mike talked about in this year's draft that a lot of teams did, is draft a back in the later rounds to add to that committee.
Yeah, I really like what Pittsburgh did, particularly with the draft. And the picture that I'm looking at like the 2019 Tennessee Titans. We know that Arthur Smith was the OC during that time with the Titans. And this is a team that obviously everything starts up front. They want to run the football, but also the play action pass. Remember, Ryan Tannehill had arguably his best season in 2019. Then he led the league in QBR that year. So listen, as far as Najee Harris is concerned, Mike T, made a great point. Running backs come a dime a dozen, and his production doesn't fit the bill as far as what that 5th-year option is going to be. But this team is going to want to pound you, ground and pound. with the running back by committee and emerges at the quarterback position, will be able to, exploit that with the play action passing game.